J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar are not equals the way the internet was sold. People are saying Cole never goes bar for bar with Kendrick because the outcome is irreversible. And the wild part? The music already told us. We just didn't want to listen. Everybody thought they knew the full story. The big three: Kendrick, Cole, Drake. 3 crowns, 1 era, all balanced like a poster on the teenager's wall. That was the version everybody repeated like scripture. But then, fans started rewinding moments, features, hooks. Those rare times Kendrick and Cole even breathe on the same track. And allegedly, the pattern looks too consistent to ignore. Now the narrative is twisting because the question isn't who's better. It's why do they keep avoiding the cleanest comparison possible? Same beat, same space, same stakes. Let me break this down, because this is where the internet turns into a courtroom. Not the kind with judges, the kind with quote tweets, screenshots, thread historians, people who know the exact timestamp a rapper blinked. First piece of evidence, and I'm saying that carefully, because a lot of this is fan analysis, allegedly, reportedly, speculation until confirmed. But still, it's loud. High power. Folks point out how Cole builds the environment, production, structure, that clean setup, like he's laying concrete. Then Kendrick steps in and it stops sounding like a song and starts sounding like a warning. Not, look how good I rap, more like, look how serious I am. And if you watch the way people talk about that track now, years later, Kendrick's verse is the main artifact, the thing people reference, the moment. Cole becomes the architect that nobody thanks after the building is famous. That's not an insult. That's just how the culture remembers violence. Then, forbidden fruit. And this is where it gets even crazier, because people online swear this is the avoidance blueprint. Kendrick shows up, but stays on the hook. No verse, no full-on collision. And fans will tell you, if Kendrick had rapped a full verse on a Cole-led record, the headline wouldn't be Cole and Kendrick link. It would be Kendrick stole Cole's song. That's the internet's theory, not gospel. But the theory has legs because it keeps showing up in the same place, where the risk is highest. Now, the big one. The one everybody drags back onto the timeline every time this conversation pops up. Black Friday. 2 beats, 2 rappers. No hiding, no hook excuse, no, it was just a vibe. Cole raps on All Right. Kendrick raps on A Tale of Two Cities. And the reaction, frame by frame, comment by comment, was basically immediate. Kendrick snapped. Kendrick went possessed. Kendrick blacked out. And notice something. People didn't even have to call Cole trash to make the point. That's what makes it brutal. They just said Kendrick was more vivid, more urgent, more dangerous. Like the verse wasn't trying to win, like it was trying to leave a stain. And fans online got weirdly specific with it. I'm talking pseudoscience, delivery aggression index, breath control consistency, internal rhyme density. You'll see threads claiming stuff like Kendrick's verse has a 78% higher imagery hit rate or 62% more multis, depending on who's doing the counting. Is that real methodology? Probably not, but it feels real to people because it matches what their gut already decided. And once the gut decides, the math becomes decoration. Now, look at the broader pattern people swear they see. When Kendrick and Cole orbit the same moment, Cole looks like the craftsman. Kendrick looks like the event. Cole sounds polished. Kendrick sounds like the polish got scratched off with a knife. And it gets even wilder when you zoom out to the industry chatter angle. Because the rumor, again alleged, unconfirmed, says full verse-for-verse records were avoided on purpose to prevent irreversible comparisons. Not because Cole can't rap, but because one clean loss on a giant official record becomes history. It becomes a stamp. It becomes the thing you can't unsee. And here's the detail fans love bringing up. Unreleased records, leaks, we got joints in the vault. The internet treats those like mythical weapons, like, oh, they could drop it, but they won't because someone would bleed. And whenever those stories pop up, the comment sections all turn into the same chant. Don't put Kendrick on your beat unless you're ready to lose the conversation forever. That's not a fact. That's a belief system. So, to be clear, we're not convicting anybody. We're watching how the internet builds a narrative and why it keeps surviving. Now let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking for people online. The Big Three story wasn't just about talent. It was a business agreement with the fans. It was a peace treaty. It let everybody keep their favorite and still feel objective. Kendrick for the art, Drake for the hits, Cole for the boss. Balanced, marketable, shareable, easy. But think about it. If the internet ever gets a clean, undeniable, official, same beat, bar for bar outcome, the whole equals narrative collapses. And the collapse doesn't just hurt feelings, it hurts branding. Because Cole's brand, whether he asked for this or not, became tied to being the safe best rapper. The one who can spar with anyone. The one who's neutral. The one who can slide into any conversation without turning it into war. That kind of positioning is powerful, but fragile. One high-profile, no excuses, culturally agreed loss doesn't just lose a battle, it rewrites the label on you. And Kendrick's brand is the opposite. Kendrick doesn't protect moments. Kendrick turns moments into monuments. Even when he's quiet, people act like he's loading something. So if you're Cole, and you're strategic, and everyone agrees Cole is strategic, why would you willingly step into the one scenario where strategy can't save you? This is why fans say the avoidance isn't fear, it's survival math. Because here's what the internet claims happens when Kendrick gets the same space. He doesn't rap well, he changes the temperature. He makes the song feel like it has consequences. Cole is the type to build a verse that lands clean the first time and cleaner the 10th. Kendrick is the type to make you rewind because you feel like you missed the blade. And yes, that's subjective, but perception is what moves culture. Now add in the moment turns violent theory. When the stakes are casual, playlist vibes, festival energy, features that are more handshake than headshot, Cole looks unstoppable because Cole is consistent. But when the moment becomes a referendum, when the verse becomes a timestamp, Kendrick allegedly shows up like he's defending territory. So people online ask, if Cole truly believes he can smoke Kendrick, why doesn't he open the door wide? Why not do the obvious, one official single, 2 verses each, same producer, same rollout, no surprise drops, no excuses? And here comes the darker part. Fans swear the industry doesn't want that either. Because the Big Three sells tours, discussions, rankings, playlists, podcasts, reaction channels, an entire economy. If you prove the hierarchy too cleanly, you kill the debate. And the debate is money. So the alleged quiet agreement is keep it competitive enough to tease, never definitive enough to finalize. That's why so many of their shared moments feel curated. Hooks, features that don't clash, brotherhood energy, mutual respect statements. Respect is real, sure, but respect can also be a curtain, and the internet treats that curtain like a confession. Because every time the culture gets close to a real collision, something pulls it back. A hook instead of a verse, a solo track instead of a duel, a "we got stuff in the vault" instead of a release. And it gets even crazier when you realize what optics does to rappers in this era. Back then, you could lose a battle and keep moving because the audience was local. Now, the audience is global and permanent. Every line lives forever in 4K. A single moment becomes your entire identity in memes. So if Cole is brand aware, if he's as calculated as people claim, avoiding the cleanest comparison might not be cowardice, it might be the most rational business decision in rap. And Kendrick doesn't play rational. Kendrick plays legacy, and legacy doesn't mind collateral damage.
But here's the part that hits different, and it's not about who's better. It's about what it feels like watching the internet turn two human beings into chess pieces. Because fans talk about Kendrick like he's not a person. They talk about him like he's a storm in a bottle. Like if you unscrew the cap at the wrong time, you don't just lose a rap moment, you lose control of the whole room. And they talk about Cole like he's the responsible one, the one who cleans up the mess, the one who makes rap feel safe for people who don't actually want danger, they just want the aesthetic of danger. So when the internet says Cole avoids Kendrick, it's not just a diss. It's a story about humiliation, about public comparison, about being forced into a cage match for strangers' entertainment. Because if you're Cole and you step into that space, you're not just rapping against Kendrick, you're rapping against the myth of Kendrick. And myths don't bleed. They don't get tired. They don't have off days. Myths only get retold. That's why this whole narrative sticks. Because it's not a debate anymore. It's a horror movie structure. Cole opens the door. Kendrick is already standing there. And even if Cole raps his heart out, perfect cadence, clean metaphors, crazy internals, what happens if the crowd decides Kendrick felt scarier? That's the nightmare. Not losing on bars, losing on atmosphere. And the wildest part? Both fan bases can leave feeling right. Cole fans can say he held his own. Kendrick fans can say he took his soul. And the internet will always choose the more dramatic version because drama is easier to share than nuance. So when people beg for the battle, they're not just asking for music. They're asking for a public execution or a public miracle. Either way, somebody's pride becomes content. That's why the silence feels so loud, because silence is the only thing that doesn't create a winner. Now, let's keep it real. Everything is speculation until somebody actually drops the cleanest test. But that's exactly why the internet keeps circling it. Because the test is so obvious it feels intentional that we never get it. So let's recap the pattern the way fans lay it out. Pattern A. When it's a collab, Kendrick becomes the headline. Pattern B. When it's a Cole record, Kendrick stays in a contained role. Hook, concept, or distance. Pattern C. When they get close to equal footing, the moment becomes myth instantly, and Kendrick is the ghost people quote. And it gets even crazier when you look at how people talk about energy. Cole's energy is like controlled fire, useful, steady, you can cook with it. Kendrick's energy, allegedly, is the kind of fire you don't cook with. It's the kind you watch from across the street hoping your house isn't next. That's the language fans use, not mine, but I'm telling you how the internet frames it. Now, fans online turned into investigators the same way they always do. They start slowing down performances, zooming into facial expressions, comparing ad-libs. They'll take two verses and claim they ran voice-matching software to analyze intensity shifts. You'll see people swear Kendrick's delivery shows a 31% higher urgency spike in certain pockets, like they got a lab in their bedroom. And again, none of that is official, but it becomes believable because it sounds technical. Then you get the moment theft argument. Folks say Kendrick doesn't just rap, he steals the center. The conversation, the reaction videos, the captions, even the think pieces. And Cole? Cole is the guy you respect while you're watching someone else go viral. That it's different because respect isn't always loud. Virality is loud. Now here's another angle people bring up. Risk tolerance. Cole will spar, he'll jab, he'll outwork you. Kendrick? Fans believe Kendrick shows up like he's willing to ruin the party, like he's okay with making everybody uncomfortable if the point lands. So the industry knows headline becomes this. It's not that Cole can't rap, it's that Kendrick makes the room feel like rap is life or death again. And most people don't actually want that for real. They just want to cosplay it. And the reason this conversation is so addictive is because it's half music debate, half psychological thriller. Because you can't prove it with numbers. You can't fully prove it with streams. You can't settle it with awards. The only way to settle it is with a clean clash. And we keep not getting it. So here are the mini cliffhangers people build. Cliffhanger 1. If Kendrick is so dominant, why doesn't he bait it? Fans answer, he doesn't need to. The myth feeds itself. Cliffhanger 2. If Cole is so strategic, why even do Black Friday? Fans answer, because it was contained. 2 separate beats, not an official single, no label push, plausible deniability. Cliffhanger 3.
Why do both of them always sound respectful in public? Fans answer, respect is the shield you hold up while you avoid the knife fight. Now let's talk about the unspoken rule people swear exists. Never give Kendrick the same beat and the same space unless you're ready to lose the conversation forever. That line sounds dramatic, but it's basically the core of the rumor. Because the same beat, same space removes all the escape routes. No, my verse was first. No, I was just setting the vibe. No, it wasn't my song. No, it was experimental. Just you and him and a beat, and the internet watching like it's a pay-per-view. And honestly, that's why some fans almost prefer it never happens, because once it happens, the mystery dies. And mystery is the engine. Now, let's re-describe the evidence again, because repetition is where the internet brain locks in. High power gets remembered like a prophecy. Forbidden fruit gets remembered like a controlled burn. Black Friday gets remembered like a crime scene. And whether you agree or not, you can't deny the culture talks about Kendrick like he left fingerprints. Now, this is where things get interesting. The Cole builds the house, Kendrick throws the party metaphor. People use that a lot because it frames Cole as essential but not dominant. And that's a weird kind of disrespect because it sounds like a compliment. It's like saying you're the reason the moment exists, but not the reason it matters. And if you're Cole, that's the exact scenario you avoid. Not because you're scared of rapping, but because you're tired of being the background to someone else's legend. Now, we also got to address the elephant in the room, Drake. Because the big three narrative only works if none of the three gets cleanly decapitated in public perception. If Kendrick and Cole settle it, it forces Drake into a different lane conversation too. Everything shifts. Rankings get rewritten, old tweets get dug up, careers get summarized in screenshots, and the internet loves summaries. Summaries are violence. So the industry chatter rumor, again alleged, makes sense as a story. Labels don't want the debate to end, artists don't want the stamp, fans want the spectacle but also want their favorite protected. So everyone plays chicken and nobody crashes. But the tension still leaks. It leaks in the way people react when Kendrick drops anything. It leaks in the way Cole gets praised for consistency, while Kendrick gets praised for moments. Consistency is respect. Moments are power. And here's the last reframe. Maybe it's not avoidance. Maybe it's mutual agreement that the culture can't handle a definitive result without turning it into a lifelong insult. Because once the internet decides you lost, that's not a music opinion anymore. That's a tattoo.
And this story has bigger implications than just rap fan debates. What we're really watching is how the internet turns art into a scoreboard. A verse becomes a weapon. A collaboration becomes a trap. And every artist has to decide, do you chase the moment or do you protect the long game? Because online culture doesn't reward balance. It rewards dominance. It rewards humiliation. It rewards screenshots that can be posted without context. So even if Kendrick and Cole are both legends, and they are, this constant who's scared of who narrative shows what social media did to music. It made everything a trial. It made every drop a referendum. It made silence feel like guilt and restraint feel like weakness. And honestly, that's messed up. Because the bigger conversation is about pressure. If you're a top-tier artist, you're not just competing with your peers, you're competing with the story people already wrote about you. Cole's story, the guy who can rap with anybody. Kendrick's story, the guy who turns rap into an apocalypse. Now try to collaborate inside those myths without somebody getting assigned as lesser. That's why fans keep begging for the bar-for-bar clash, but it's also why the clash might never happen. Because the internet doesn't just want a song, it wants a verdict. And verdicts don't just crown winners. They erase nuance. They erase context. They erase humanity. So whether the avoidance rumor is true or not, the fact that it thrives tells you something. The culture is addicted to domination narratives more than it's addicted to music. Now, stay locked in, because this conversation is not dying. If anything, it's getting louder every year Kendrick stays quiet, and every year Cole stays consistent. And reports Rumors and fan theories are always one leak away from exploding again. So I gotta ask you, do you think J. Cole is strategically avoiding a clean bar-for-bar record with Kendrick? Or do you think fans are just projecting a myth onto two artists who respect each other? And if we ever got the real same beat, same space moment, who do you honestly think walks away with the conversation? Not the better rapper in your heart, the one who owns the timeline the next day. Drop the most savage Kendrick takeover moment you remember. Feature, verse, live performance, whatever. And tell me the moment you realized, yeah, this dude doesn't just rap, he changes the air. If you want me to keep covering the real-time narratives the internet is building, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the second a new clip, a new verse, or a new rumor drops, we're breaking it down immediately. And remember, in this era, silence isn't empty. Silence is strategy.